Hello and welcome, this is AgentXP, and welcome back to another author playthrough. Today we're going to be playing my 7th TRLE, which is called Lara of Arabia. So this level was part of the Back to Basics 2016 competition, and it was my first entry to the Back to Basics competition, which I completed, and it was also my first ever level to be entered into the Hall of Fame on TRLE.net. So I'm very proud of this one. And a small fact for you, I was part of the team that helped create the textures for this Back to Basics. So I mainly did some transition textures for the pack. So we're going to dive on into the level and select new game. And we find ourselves in the middle of the desert with our friend Humphrey the camel. Hello, he's very cute. I'm not quite sure what he's eating in midair though. So Humphrey is how we arrived in the middle of the desert. He was our transportation, and we run around this big sand dune and slide down into this pit. And we can grab hold of this rock, and if we move it on top of this trapdoor, the trapdoor will open and Lara will fall through it. So we are now given a flyby showing the desert, and it will show us that we have dropped through the trapdoor. And now we can drop down, there's nothing more we can do with the rock. And we can find ourselves a large med kit hidden behind the sort of podium that we landed on. And we can drop down and proceed to the mouth of the cave. And it's worth pausing before you jump out of the cave, because there is a steep slope in front of us leading to a very deep pit, and we don't want to fall in that pit. The drop is too far, Lara will not survive. So in order to get around this, we want to grab the edge of the slope and shimmy around until we find a place where Lara can stand up. So shimmy around the corner, and we can climb up on this ledge, and also be very careful when you hop up because you can easily slide back down into the hole. So, we find ourselves at the edge of a desert valley. We can slide down into the valley. And if we slide down on this side, we can find ourselves a cubbyhole. And if we crawl into this cubbyhole, we will find the first secret of the level. We can also use a new move, which is a crawl roll, and that's a little quicker than crawling, so that's quite fun to use. Now there's nothing else in this valley. This secret is the only pickup. So while you can explore and hop around the edge of the valley, there is nothing to find here. So we want to proceed into the mouth of the cave. So there is a small indentation in the sand, and we can crawl down through this gap and find ourselves in another cave. Round the corner we will find some flares that we can pick up, and we now proceed forwards, and here is my favourite flyby of the level. So it appears Lara has indeed found Atlantis of the Sands, or the lost city of Ubar, and I love that music. It's so creepy and mysterious. So if we come to this corner of the cave, this is where we're going to want to go first. So roll out of the crawl space and have your guns at the ready, because there are some creepy sand crabs which look very much like spiders. And there are lots of cobwebs in here, so be on your guard. There are lots of these creepy crabs waiting to ambush us. And make sure you get them all. There's always one that's still hiding. Shoot these. Oh, there are some more. Just when you thought you'd killed them all, another couple come out of the cobwebs. Fun fact, this area was inspired by the tomb of Seth from Tomb Raider 4. So So, run to the end of this cave, and we'll be given a camera showing a key at the other end. And the way we get to this is by grabbing the edge of this rocky ledge and shimmying along the edge. And as we look down, we can see a mysterious, misty pit. We'll be exploring that on the return trip. So shimmy along, thank goodness for the faster shimmy animation. I'll be very glad of that in this level. I love the misty effect that was used in the pit. This is a favourite effect of mine, and you tend to see it quite a bit in my levels. Drop off the ledge onto the little triangle, look across. We're going to save our game because this jump is quite tricky and it's easy to miss. Yeah, I missed it. And we're going to want to do a half-tile run and jump here. That's the easiest way to cross the gap. And now we can hop to the ledge with the key. So take a step back and claim the key. And we'll get some music. Drop down. And you notice here a keyhole. And you may think that's where the key goes, but it's actually not. You need to remember that door for the end of the level, as we'll want to come back there. So in the mist there is a shotgun, and we're going to get a bit of a jump scare when we pick it up. So we're going to get attacked by a bunch of sand crabs. So shoot those. And once you've dealt with all of them, make sure you pick up the ammo that's on that skeleton. You have 2 pickups of shotgun ammo, and that is literally the entire shotgun pickup for the level. But the ammo count has been greatly increased, so by picking up those 2 boxes of ammo, you have given yourself a very decent amount of ammo for the shotgun. So hop back up the slope, and we can return to the main cave. Pull up out of the crawl space and roll forward, and we're now ready to use the key that we just picked up. So around the corner, this is the first of 2 doors into the city, and we can use the stone key on this keyhole. Run on into the corridor, and we have a mysteriously lit area. So we're going to want to go left into this room, and this room was inspired by City of the Dead in Tomb Raider 4. I really like these archways and the Eastern style floor and patterns on the ceiling. I really like this area, and I like the lighting in here too. I was experimenting with colour here. I really like the sort of bluey lighting. So come into this alcove and we can find ourselves a switch. We're going to pull that, and that opened up the trapdoor above. But before we climb up there, we're going to want to be very mindful of the flame here. And if we do a running jump, we can grab this jump switch on the wall. Before we are too hasty in climbing up, we can drop down into this trapdoor and claim ourselves a crossbow. So climb back out of the hole, and you can now climb up the chain, but you're going to want to be very careful to time the fire going out. So make sure you wait until the fire goes out, and then you can do a standing jump to give Lara a bit more height here, and then hastily climb on up the pole. How Lara's able to grab that, I'm not sure, because it would be very hot in reality, but that's Tomb Raider logic. So we're going to explore the cubby holes, and in the one there is a pickup of flares, so be sure to grab those. And also watch you don't fall down that trapdoor, because you'll get a nasty surprise. Lara's likely to get burnt if you do fall back down there. So, walking into this room, we can see a bright orb of light at the centre, and if we look closely, we can see an item at the centre. So, pick that up, and we have the Dagger of Time. Explosions, but oh no! Hello, dude! This big dude will attack us, so make sure you have your guns ready. He's actually not quite as scary as he looks. He looks very intimidating, but you can in fact dispatch him quite easily with the pistols. He doesn't take that many hits before falling to the ground, so just make sure you stay out of reach of his swords, and he's quite slow, so he'll lumber around until he falls to the floor. once he does, make sure you check out the alcove from which he emerged, as inside there will be a key. So we're going to find out where this key goes quite quickly. So pull this switch and that will open the door to our left, and run on outside and we'll find ourselves on the upper level of the outside of the city. And here we can insert the key, and this key extends part of the bridge. The bridge is broken, but this will raise a trapdoor, allowing us to jump to the other side of the bridge. But we're not going to want to do that yet, because we don't have an item that we need for the other side. So what we can do though is grab the trapdoor, and if we shimmy to the right a little, we can drop down onto the ledge below, and that will allow us a shortcut to reach the ground floor without going back down via the fire pole. And if you drop onto that ledge, you will not take any health loss. So if we return to the end of the corridor from which we entered the area, we can use our dagger of time on this door, and we will be given a flyby showing an entirely new area. So this room is huge. This is the main part of the inside area of lost city of Ubar. So we'll be given a tour of the room, and it will show us a number of things that we need to do. So there are 2 buttons, and there are also some spikes that we need to lower. And oh no! When the flyby finishes, you will be ambushed by 2 leopards, and these leopards have a ridiculous amount of hit points. I do apologise for that. That was simply a part of the pack. So you're going to want to shoot them, and you can play chicken if you want, and you can hop onto this table in the centre of the room and the leopards cannot reach you there. You can pick them off with the pistols quite easily from the table. Something you may notice about my playthrough style, I hope people don't get annoyed with me, I tend to use the pistols quite a lot. So, yeah, I like conserving ammo. I'm rather a hoarder when it comes to playing levels. I tend to use the pistols most of the time. We may indeed use some of our more powerful weapons later in the level. So have a look around, and we can proceed to this room, and this room contains 2 stairways, so we can climb to the upper level. So proceed on upstairs. I love the colours in this room. And we can run through and we can reach the balcony in the main area of the room. So there's only one thing that we need to note right now. We can have a look around, and a nice little relaxing cubby area there. And we can see the golden cage in the centre now. We can grab that, but we need to reach it first. And if you look up here, you can see a small crack. And this will allow us to do a ledge jump up and shimmy around. And from there, we can reach an upper balcony. Climb on up, and we can do a jump to reach another ledge, and from here we can grab the golden cage in the centre. Now this golden cage was the key idea I had for this room. I really like it. It was the key concept behind this room, and I think it's quite a design statement. And I like the fact that you can climb on it, and you can also climb on it from the inside. So this was kind of a cool idea I had. Given the golden lattice object, I thought it would be a nice thing to climb on and interact with. And if you look on the inside, you can see a number of objects on the floor, and there is also a jump switch, which gives us a clue that we might be entering the cage at some point. So shimmy around to the side and climb on up to the top. We can see some monkey bars there, but we're not going to want to use those quite yet. If you run to the end here, you will claim a pickup. And boom! When you pick up the item, you will be thrown inside the cage and instantly ambushed by an evil genie. So you're going to want to get your guns out, and what I've done here is a bit of a cheat really. These demigod enemies will shoot over your head if you crouch. So this is a little trick that you can use if you don't want to lose any health. So if you're trying to complete this level without using too many health packs, you can crouch, and as soon as you kill the first one, a second one appears. So we're going to want to crouch once again and continue shooting him. He does take quite a lot of hits with the pistols especially, but eventually he will float up to the ceiling and die. So just persist for a bit. And I know this is a bit of a cheat, but I thought it was something worth showing you in the playthrough. And it's up to you whether you want to fight him the legit way, or if you want to do what I'm doing and, well, cheat a little. There we go. So before we leave the cage, we're going to want to claim a couple of pickups. There is some bread on the floor, which is a small medkit, so we can claim that. And there are also some arrows. And if you miss these when you enter the cage, you will not be able to return for them, because you only get to come inside this cage once. So now we're going to want to climb up the inside wall of the cage, and there is a jump switch near the top. So climb up to the jump switch, and when we pull that, we're going to be released from the cage. So pull the switch and boom, more explosions. We're teleported back to the top of the cage. We have been deemed worthy. We've defeated the guardians and escaped with our prize. So grab the monkey bars and we're going to want to shimmy over to this ladder. And from here we're going to want to grab a crack in the ledge on our right. And this requires that we find the sweet spot in order to do a backflip and grab in midair. And this can be a bit tricky, so I'm going to save on the ladder. And this isn't necessarily advisable either, but why not? So do a backflip, jump and grab. And now we can shimmy around to the left. The ledge will now give us a space where we can pull up. So pull Lara up into the gap and turn around and you will see a shimmy crack in the wall. So grab this shimmy crack and we can now shimmy along to the right. Be careful though, there is a vent here which is spewing steam. So you're going to want to time that carefully. Continue along the shimmy crack, and once we reach the broken section we can do a ledge jump in order to reach the upper ledge, and we will see here the swinging blades. So we can grab this crack and shimmy around. You could probably also do a banana jump around this if you wanted to, but I prefer to use the crack, it's more reliable. And we can step to the inside of the ledge to make it a little easier for ourselves to dodge past this swinging blade. And we're getting closer to that button that we were shown in the flyby. So drop off the ledge and we can do a shimmy around this corner. And shimmy around the next corner, and we can pull ourselves up on this wooden ledge. And above in the dark there is another monkey swing, so jump and grab that and shimmy along. So the window that we are shimmying over right now shows that this part of the city is buried beneath the sand. So if you look out of that window you can see at the top of the sand, and the sun is just shining over the top of the sand dune. Here we will find ourselves at the first of the two buttons that we were shown in the flyby. And we will get a camera showing us that the spikes on the pillar in the centre of the room have retracted. Now we can use the crack in order to drop and grab safely so that we don't take too much damage as we fall, because we're going to want to return to the lower level. So drop down. So now we're going to want to proceed back to the central golden cage, as this will allow us to backflip onto the pillar on which the spikes retracted. So once again we're going to want to use this crack, shimmy around the edge and pull ourselves up. One of the key design features of this room is the fact that I tried to create a feeling of scale with lots of different levels that you can climb up and down. and do a running jump here. And we're now back to the ledge, and we can run, jump and grab the golden cage. So it looks like quite a long jump, but she can make it. Grab the very bottom and pull yourself up. And before she gets her footing, it's worth shimmying around to the side, as this is a little faster than if she grabs the ledge with her feet. So climb up a bit more, and don't climb up too far before backflipping, because it's very easy to overshoot this pillar. So if we look up here, we can see some sections of ladder on the wall, and this is our next aim. But before we investigate this ladder, we're going to want to turn to the right and investigate a second ladder here on the wall. So I want to drop and grab Lara so that she doesn't have her footing, so that I can shimmy around the side of this ledge, and then we can do a ledge jump and grab the ledge above. Now you may be thinking that's the way to reach the second button, but in fact this is the path to a secret. So what we're going to want to do is jump off backwards and grab the edge of the ledge. We can now shimmy around this pillar and proceed to the next secret. So this is a very long shimmy crack, thank goodness for the faster shimmy animation. So a bit of background on this level. The story of this level involves Lawrence of Arabia. So Lawrence of Arabia was going to mount an expedition in order to find the lost city of Ubar, or Atlantis of the Sands. And Lara is interested in this. She's found an old diary of Lawrence with information about the location of this lost city. And tragically, Lawrence of Arabia was killed in a motorcycle accident before he could mount his expedition, so Lara is determined to follow in his footsteps in order to become Lara of Arabia. I also thought Lara of Arabia was quite a cool name for a level. Traverse around this shimmy crack, and you may be wondering what lies in here. So we're going to want to run past this blade, and there is a curtain at the back of the ledge which will allow us to run into a secret cubbyhole in order to claim the visor's staff. So this may have been rather a long-winded secret, but if you want what is essentially the grenade gun, it's well worth it. So I'll run past the blade, and we're going to want to grab the edge of the ledge and shimmy back along, because we need to return to the shimmy crack. Unfortunately, this is the way back, especially if you don't want to lose health. So drop and grab, and proceed back along the shimmy crack. Now there is a possible shortcut here. You can see the cream coloured ledge that Lara's approaching. It is possible to let go and drop onto that ledge, but you will lose a significant amount of health should you choose to do that. So it's far better to just persist with the shimmy crack and return to the ledge from which we entered this shimmy section. This is the best path if you want to conserve Lara's health. Whew, it's a long way down. Don't fall, Lara. So a pull back up, and we're going to want to return to the ladder, as we need to safely backflip back onto that ledge, and if we're too high we will potentially hit our head. So a backflip back to this ledge and we will land safely. So now we want to look upwards, and there is a gap in this ledge, and we can enter a cubby area here in the wall. There's a trapdoor on the ground that Lara can fling open, and we can drop down in order to reach that switch that we saw earlier. So throw the switch. So what that did was it lowered a block in the upper room, and it allows us to pull out a movable block. Now you may be wondering, what are we going to use this for? Now if you paid close attention to the texture on the outside of the room, you may realise that you can use this block in order to fill the gap in the ladder. So come round to the cubby hole and shoot the vase, and we can pick up another small medkit or piece of bread. And now we're going to want to push this block into the hole in the wall in order to complete the ladder. So there's only one spot you can push it into, and when we do, we will be greeted by the ground shaking and some spikes extending, and this basically means that you can't pull the block back out. So it's a heavy hint that you're not meant to do that once you've placed it in the right location. So grab the ladder and climb on up. And we can climb around to the side, and this will allow us to reach the button. Climb on up and push the button. We will be shown a camera of a door opening on the floor below. So if you need to, do a crouch in order to grab this section of the ladder again, and we're going to safely drop back to this ledge. Now the best way of getting to the floor without taking damage is to return via the golden cage. So we're just taking a quick look around and grab the spike ledge once again. We can now jump and grab the golden cage and shimmy around to the side, and we're going to want to position Lara over that central walkway, and we can now grab and drop safely back down to that walkway, and we will not take any health loss. So once again, if we just drop straight down to the floor, we will take damage, so I'm going to take the safe route, which is to go back down the stairs. That's what stairs are for, after all. But maybe if you're Lara Croft, you're a bit more reckless. But we're going to try not to take any unnecessary health loss. So, save before you enter this room, and when you walk into this room, the door will shut behind us, and that is slightly ominous in itself, so take a look around and investigate this room. Lara will look at the bed when you approach it, and that signifies that there is an item that we need to collect from there. So first we're going to want to shoot this rather ornate, I think it might be a large coffee pot. That's the shape of it. It's a very large coffee pot if it is. Bit of a shame to shoot it, but never mind. So walk onto the bed, and we have here a laser sight, and as soon as we pick it up, we're going to be greeted by another evil genie. So once again, we can run up to him and crouch, and that way all his missiles will go over our head. Bit of trivia, I really enjoyed creating some of the rooms within this part of the city, as this Back to Basics pack has some really cool furniture objects, and it was fun to put them to use. He does take quite a lot of hits with the pistols, but I do like to conserve ammo. So once he floats up to the ceiling and meets his demise, we are going to investigate the rest of the room. So you may be wondering, how do we get out of this room? And if you look closely, there is a crawl space in the corner, and we can climb into it and grab and then flip out to the other side. And if we run up to these pedestals, we will be greeted with some golden lamps. And these are essentially torches. So we're going to drop the torch onto this ledge, and we'll find out why here in a second. Whoops, wrong move. Wrong button. Climb into the gap and flip out on the other side. And you will see here a button, and this will lower a block, allowing us to return to the main central room. But it also lowered another block, and this will allow us to throw the torch through this crawl space. So climb back to the other side, and we want to pick up the torch, and with some persuasion Lara will throw it through the gap. You need to find the sweet spot. She won't do it from every location, so maybe try standing a bit closer. There we go, that worked. Now we can crawl through and pick up the torch and run back into the main area. And we can now re-enter the bedroom from the door that we reopened. And you may be thinking, how do we light the torch? So we do this by jumping back on the bed, and we can reach the torches either side. And quite how Lara's not setting those curtains on fire, I am not sure. But Tomb Raider logic once again. So with the torch, we are now going to want to proceed to the other side of this big room. There are 2 vases that we can light. When you light these vases, be sure to stand on the very edge of the tile, as Lara can get set on fire here, so be very careful. Now we're entering a new area, and if we run on through, we will see here a Turkish bath. This is one of my favourite areas of the level. I love this room so much. I really enjoyed making this. So if we proceed to this pillar, we can grab a crack and backflip, and this will allow us to claim a secret on top of the bath. So grab and drop back to the floor, and be very careful not to enter the bath. You can see there's an artifact at the centre, but we can't claim it yet because the water is too hot. It's all steamy. If Lara tries entering it, she will die. So run behind these curtains and press a button, and we will open the door to our right. Run inside, shoot the vase and claim the item. And be very careful to dodge this blade. It's not too difficult, you can run underneath it, you just have to time it right. So proceed down the stairs, and we will find ourselves in a very hot, fiery looking room, and you will have several spike pits that you need to jump over, so be very careful to time the blade there. Hop over the spikes, and there are some explosive crossbow bolts in this alcove, so don't forget to pick those up if you like explosions. Jump across the spikes and save your game because this hallway is quite tricky. You need to be sure that you are sprinting in order to clear the spikes. Shoot the vases, and at the end of the hallway you will find a revolver, and this is a sort of hint as to what we need to do next. So if you stand on top of this box, you can see there is a snake head or something through this hole, and there is a gem in the serpent's mouth. We're going to want to shoot that, but before we do, back out and grab the ledge and shimmy to the right, and we can claim a secret. And if we left this till after shooting the gem, we would not be able to claim this secret. Pull ourselves back up through this alcove and flip back out. You can shoot the gem while you're in that room, but it's just personal preference. I like to return to the crate in order to do it. So combine the magnum with the laser sight. You can also use pistols here if you're clever, or explosive ammo, but I like to use the revolver, that's why I provided a laser sight. Shoot the gem and we will get a cutscene showing that we have covered the fire with sand, and this means that the water is no longer being heated up in the room above, which means we can now enter the bath and claim the artifact. Hop down from the box and we can follow the hallway around and find a gate that opened in order to allow us to go back on the opposite side of the spikes. So save again and hop back over the spikes, being very careful to dodge the swinging blade. And when you return back up the stairs, don't forget the blade above. It's very easy to forget that. I've been caught by that blade numerous times on the return trip, so be sure to dodge that and time it accordingly. So now we can enter the area with the bath. We're now able to wade into the bath and claim the artifact. Wade back out and we can take a look around this room. I really love this room. This really is one of my favourite parts of the level. There is some nice cushions around the edge of the bath so that people can chill out. Maybe Lara can come back here later, unwind a little after her adventure, who knows. Now we can leave via the door from which we entered, and we're going to be greeted by another evil genie. So you know the drill by now. We're going to run up to him and crouch, and this means he will shoot over our heads and we can dispatch him accordingly. So I really like the colours in this room. I was inspired by the colours in the textures, and I wanted to create something quite dramatic. So it's a dark room, but it's not completely dark because of the coloured lighting. So now we can leave this room, save our game, and what we're going to want to do next is return to the upper level. Don't forget the fire chain, that's how we climbed up to the upper level. So we're going to want to run back to the fire chain. That building we were just looking at is where we're going to want to head next. Once again, we need to time it carefully. That was actually quite lucky. I reached it just as it was going out. So climb on up the chain and then we can backflip off the chain once we reach the top. And we're going to want to return to the bridge. Backflip off the chain and we can run back through the dagger room. So we've already opened up the bridge and extended it, and we can now run, jump and grab to reach the other side. So make sure you do a full run, jump and grab here because it's quite a far jump. Grab the edge of the broken bridge and we can now proceed round to this switch. And it's a broken switch, but we can use the dagger of time as a crowbar in order to activate the switch. As we enter this room, we will be shown a camera view of a pedestal in which we need to place an artifact. And it would have been pointless coming to this room before picking up that artifact. So once again, we want to time ourselves with this flame and climb up the chain. And there are quite a few pickups that we want to get in this room. So have a look around and you will notice that one of the corners does not have a flaming lamp, so we can climb up here safely and shoot out all the pots, and this will give us a bunch of pickups. Most of the ammo pickups in this level are in keeping with the city, so you'll mainly find crossbow ammo or visor staff ammo. So we can run very carefully over the corner there and not get set on fire. If we activate the switch, you will hear a door open, and that is in the room below, and that will enable us to complete the puzzle. But we also need the artifact that we claimed. Like I said, if we hadn't picked up that artifact, it would have been pointless coming to this room. So pick up all the goodies, and then we can finally drop to the floor in order to look at this puzzle. Let's pick up a final piece of bread there. And it's best to go back to the corner without a flaming pot in order to safely drop to the ground. So drop down and we can now go and use our artifact. Place the hourglass on the pedestal and you will get some cool music and a camera showing you that some sand is now pouring out of the hourglass, and this has filled the empty pit in the centre of the room with sand. So if we look around the room, you will see a number of mirrors, and there are two facing each other with a light beam. And the door at the side of the room is now open, revealing another mirror. And you see there, I tried to jump to the other side. Now, you're not meant to be able to jump over this mirror. It's got quite a big hitbox, and what you're really meant to do is fill the centre of the room with sand before pulling it out. So we're going to pull this to the centre, and there is a golden tile on which we're going to want to place it, similar to the other mirror on the other side of the room. So we're going to want both mirrors facing each other. And once we've moved the mirror into position, a light beam will extend from it, and this will open a trapdoor at the other side of the room, allowing us to drop down into this storage area. If we run around to the right, we will see another gargoyle on the wall with a gem in its mouth, and it is possible to jump up and shoot the gem with the pistols. Please trust me, I have done this before. I didn't manage to here. I'm not going to try this forever, I'm just going to use the laser sight. It is possible to do it with the pistols though, if you're determined to. So shoot that hidden gem, and run into this section and you will find a secret. So claim some more flares, and if we shoot the pots on the floor, we will reveal some more ammo for the visor staff that we claimed earlier. So I'll run to the other side. There are some more pots we can shoot, and there is some more bread on the floor. So pick that up, and we can now claim an artifact, and this is the key to the other side of the city. So this artifact is going to allow us to gain access to the outside of the city, and if we look through the grating there, we will get a preview of what is to come. You can see an aqueduct through the grating there. So run back through the room full of sand. That is the last time we're going to need to enter that room. So we're going to want to return to the broken bridge, and once again do a run, jump and grab to the other side, but if you grab the right hand trapdoor you can simply drop straight down to that ledge and return to the floor safely without taking any damage. So place the star emblem in its slot, and we will open the door to the aqueduct, and this is where I am going to end this video. This is roughly halfway through this level. This is a very long level, so this is where we're going to end this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed part 1 of my author playthrough for Lara of Arabia. So if you've enjoyed, please do consider liking and subscribing, and if you do subscribe, please do hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I upload future videos. This is Agent XP. Thank you for watching. TTFN.